Please subscribe to Bear Nerd Fun. Smash the like button. Goodbye.
Hail to all. We do not need. Hail to all. Hail to all. Now come on, Hollywood. Stop smelling your own farts. You might get mistaken for arse sniffers. Remember, when you go woke, you go broke. Hail to the Fandom Menace. Hail to the Phantom Menace. Well, I told you I'd do a follow-up. Rebecca Roanhorse, Transracial Cultural Appropriator, by Itchy Bacca. I recently wrote about Lucasfilm author Rebecca Roanhorse and her racist problems with white people. The story was apparently been making the round because Rebecca has received a bit of blowback and has now employed a blockchain as a result. Yeah, I was one of those people that got blocked. Yep, sure did. Right here. I saw Jeremy post on Twitter that he was blocked and he was asking who else was blocked, and took a screen capture, went and found this person, and sure enough, I was blocked as well. So, here's that blockchain. So, I guess I'm officially a Star Wars author because I got my first trolls. I don't have time for that, so I blockchained the Catalyst and all his followers. Apologies to someone who didn't deserve it got caught up in that. Probably best not to follow assholes. Guess what? You just proved yourself an asshole. Yeah. Oh, and I also don't get mention notifications, although I do sometimes search for mentions. But I won't be doing that for a while, so apologies if I miss a kind word. I just have to keep this place manageable. Oh, and the plus side, you can talk shit about me all day, and if I don't follow you, I'll probably never know. Who cares? But not to worry, blocking me will always be equally as effective as not bothering to block me at all, which is why I'm able to show you the following. A cursory Twitter search shows that Miss Roanhorse is obsessed with racial division, just as any SJW is. She likes to go on and on and on and on. Oh, I'm sorry, back to the article. About indigenous this and indigenous that. And seems to fancy herself as indigenous as well. You know what? I walk the red road. I've been taught. I have ancestry, native ancestry. And what this person did is wrong and horrible. And there's a few things that I will say. Walking the red road's about forgiveness. It's about walking a tough road. And this person, I believe there were some comments that pretty much puts them as a Christian. And nothing wrong with that. Believe what you want. Do this or do that. But you know what? Do good. Be nice. Don't be a shill. Don't be a Star Wars shill. But when it comes to defining what exactly is and isn't indigenous, she seems to back off a bit, particularly when Senator Warren is mentioned. Due to Warren, it makes everyone ask the question, what makes someone indigenous? Lakota? I came up with kinship, laughable, language, and relationship to the land. Nothing to do with blood quantum and DNA tests. I think it's good based, but don't forget those like 60s Scoop and pre-ICW folks. And those cut off from their culture through no fault of their own. They do not cease to be indigenous because the settler state had enacted this violence against them. What they're discussing here is transracialism, the pseudoscience that says anyone can identify as any race regardless of reality. Rachel Dolezal, man, I think I tied my tongue in a knot over that name, is one of the more famous pioneers of transracialism. And the media will likely attempt to frame Elizabeth Warren as a pioneering transracialist as well. Normal people refer to transracialism as lying, particularly when certain benefits are gained from the lie. So, why would Rebecca Roanhorse not want to define what is or is not indigenous exactly? Because Rebecca may be a little transracial herself. Roanhorse is often cited as being part Alright, I don't know if this is spelt right. Okay, Owene. Part of the Okewinga people. And she's part African, such as this interview with Santa Fe, New Mexico. So, but Navajos objected to the cultural disclosures she put in her book. Trail of Lightning is a Santa Fe lawyer and author. Rebecca Roanhorse's first novel available for purchase Tuesday. Roanhorse is Okewinga and African American heritage. Wrote the book not only to contribute to a genre she loves, but to offer a group of people an image of themselves in the future tense. Alright, first of all, the Navajo people hate being called Navajos. They are the Dene. They're called the Dene. They hate being called Navajo. So, the Dene objected to the cultural disclosure she put in her book, Trail of Lightning. American Indians in Children's Literature. Concerns about Roanhorse's Trail of Lightning. Editor's note, October 1st, 2018. At the bottom of this post, I will add links to the articles and videos where Native writers or scholars discuss Roanhorse and or the concerns I raise below. Today, for example, I will add links to the videos from the Institute of the American Indian Art. One is titled Cultural Stakes. It is dated fall 2018. The other is by a student, Rose Simpson. In her lecture, she talks about the issue, specifically as it relates to her and people she knows. She is a Pueblo woman. Her talk is shorter than Cultural Stakes. I recommend you start with hers. AICL post in this issue is dated August 9th. Her talk was uploaded to the Vimeo site on June 6, 2018. Debbie. I want Native children to have books that respect who they are as Native children. I want Native writers to experience success in the publishing world because that translates to the opportunities for more Native writers. And I want Native writers to be successful in every genre, including science fiction and fantasy. But there are things that don't belong in books. Let me explain. I started talking with Rebecca Roommate on Twitter about 3 years ago. In those conversations and on her website, I learned that she is Okewinga Winge, San Juan Pueblo, and black and married to a Dene man. Otherwise, most people know them as Navajo, but they are the Dene. Update July 19, 2019. Roanhorse no longer lists Okewingi on her profile. I also learned that she is a writer working primarily in science fiction and fantasy. Roanhorse's book is published by Saga Press, and imprint of Simon & Schuster, which is significant. Simon & Schuster is one of the big 5 publishers in the United States. Most native writers are published by smaller publishing houses. Getting published by one of the big 5 means way more visibility than is otherwise possible. So I was happy on several counts. I looked like I was, as a native and scholar, want to see as evident on Twitter. Update July 19, 2019. Charlie Scotts supported it on Twitter, and in October 2018 wrote an article about it. There are Navajo readers, once again, they're the Dene. Dene readers who are taken with it too. In some ways, the representations Roanhorse offers to readers of these genera are terrific. In most books set in the future, indigenous people are completely missing. Roanhorse centers the story in native space and it features native people. But I started to hear directly from Navajo friends. Once again, they're called Dene, the Dene people. Their tribal headquarters, if you look at it, says Dene. They are not at all happy with Trail of Lightning, from what I understand. Roanhorse crossed their lines of disclosure. If she had done this book using Pueblo religion, they said she'd be called out for doing that. They are right, in fact. I'd be one of the people saying to that book, and I'm grateful to them for, in essence, calling me out about my recommendation of Trail of Lightning. The situation is uncomfortable for them, for me, and I'm sure it will be uncomfortable for Roanhorse too when she reads this post from her interviews online. She said that she knows that there are things within Okewingi that she should not share. This is a concept she understands. It'd be easier to just ignore this whole thing and keep disagreements amongst native scholars, critics, and readers behind the curtain, too. But that kind of silence does not help writers, editors, and readers grow in their understanding of who indigenous people are and how some of us feel about the ways our stories are used, and even the person using our ways is native. There are many conversations taking place within the Navajo circles, once again, Dene circles. Some may write a letter or letters about Trail of Lightning when those letters appear. I will add links to them. Update July 19, 2019. See the links at the bottom of the post. In the meantime, I invite you to submit comments or write to me directly with your thoughts or questions about what I've written above. Now, one thing I'd like to point out, you never hear me talking about ceremonies that I've been in or the details of them. That's because it would be rude for me to do so and unacceptable. So the question then becomes how Okewingi can Miss Roanhorse be? If she crossed the line of that tribe's disclosure traditions, wouldn't someone who claims to know that there are things within OK Wingy not to be shared. Also know where that line is so as not to cross it. But it gets more interesting. Here's a little article from Indian Country Today. Trail of Lightning is an appropriation of Dene cultural beliefs. There, Dene. They are referring to the Navajo, just in case some of you don't know that. Dene is Navajo, but don't call them Navajo, they hate it. Appropriation, that cardinal sin. In July of this year, Rebecca Roanhorse published Trail of Lightning, the first of a proposed trilogy of novels that feature Navajo, also known as Dene, woman as hero, and takes place on Dene Nation lands. The novel has been praised, awarded, and shared widely, but there are grave problems with the book. Because Miss Roanhorse is not Dene ancestry, she does not have the authority or experience to write about our people and culture. To do this is cultural appropriation, the act of taking and using things from a culture that is not your own. It's considered impolite and very, very rude. Trail of Lightning is an appropriation of Dene cultural beliefs. Furthermore, as a writer who is not of our culture, Roanhorse appropriates Navajo culture inaccurately and without understanding the gravity of her actions. The novel has caused much concern among Dene writers in this collective, both because of the act of appropriation and the inaccuracy. One core tenet of sovereignty, one that our families and ancestors fought and fight for and often paid for with their lives, is the right to define our own spiritual beliefs and safeguard those beliefs. That these beliefs are foundational in Dene identity. I kind of identify with that a little bit. I find it very insulting that she did this as a person that lives as best I can and walk the red road. Being that I have some knowledge, I find it very insulting what this person did. Surprise! Turns out Rebecca may not be as indigenous as she might want to be. But look, the theory of panspermia suggests that life on Earth actually began on Mars, and was brought here from the ejecta of a comet impact site. Is that the case then? There isn't an indigenous anything or anyone anywhere on planet Earth. I guess that makes us all equal. Thanks to Anonymous for the tip. Yeah. So, don't appropriate others' cultures. And if you live in a glass house, get the meaning? Hail to the Fandom Menace. Now come on, Hollywood. Stop smelling your own farts. You might get mistaken for arse sniffers. Remember, when you go woke, you go broke.
Please subscribe to Bear Nerd Fund. Smash the like button. Goodbye.
Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Say hello.
Hello.
Say nerd fun. Nerd fun. Nerd fun. Say goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye. Goodbye.
Hail to fandom.